we will discuss about Indian economy. So it's a very brief discussion on Indian economy. When we look into Indian economy, a general question comes, who is deciding about everything with regard to Indian economy? So presently it is Niti Aayog. Niti Aayog prepares planning for the country. The main economic plans, financial plans, developmental plans are prepared by Niti Aayog. When India became independent, at that time, the government thought of establishing planning commission. So this planning commission was established and it was given the most important task of undertaking planning for the country. So it was thought that the national plans will be prepared by Planning Commission of India. The government of India tried to follow the planning system that was followed in the Russia. The Prime Minister, Mr. Nehruji, was very much influenced by the Russian planning system, and he tried to follow that same system in India. So in that process, India had used to have 5-year plans. You may ask me the question that who prepares the plans? So it is more of a centralized planning system. The Planning Commission prepares the plan. It collects required documents, information, facts from the people at the states and people at district level and grassroots level. Ideally, the plan should come from the bottom. People at the bottom should prepare their plan and forward it to the top people. But that was not adopted in India. We do invite some plans from the people at the bottom, but these plans are within the overall broad plans prepared by the Planning Commission and by the next bodies like the ministries and other departments. So you can say this needs little bit improvement because ideally the plan should come from the bottom and people at the top should review those plans and prepare the plans. So we had the first 5-year plan, the second 5-year plan, so on. And each plan, we were not able to achieve the goals that were set in those 5-year plans. The first 5-year plan focused on establishing very basic level uh, industries like steel industries and things like that. Then from second plan onwards, we started focusing a little bit on agriculture, which was neglected by us. So of course, in pure terms, it is even agriculture is even today a neglected sector. It has not been given adequate attention. It is the most important butter bread maker for the country. Then we had so one plan used to be for 5-year period, and that used to be implemented. There were some themes. Ideally, we should have a long-term plan, which we should follow, but that didn't have in we didn't have in India. We had a 5-year plan. Each plan would focus on a particular theme. Some plan would focus on poverty. Some plan would focus on rural development. Some plan will focus on industries. In between, if some political changes there, the new party will come and that would adopt new plans. So there is a discontinuity in planning to some extent, you can say. From independence till 1990, we followed more or less the centralized policies of Russian government in our plans, directly or indirectly. And the effort was that the government should increase its clutches on industries, and industries should be, industries should not be allowed in private sector much. What was the result? The result was the industrial progress did not take place adequately. Government sector cannot handle everything. There was massive corruption, and there were massive losses in the public sector organization. Ultimately, the government decided that no, we will go for LPG from 1991 onwards, when Manmohan Singh became the finance minister. Thereafter, he introduced with the reforms which you call as LPG, liberalization, privatization, globalization. and allowing private sector to flourish. And thereafter, we had a new series of plans, which, of course, 5-year plans process continued, but focus shifted. Earlier, the focus one was building government's enterprises. Now, the focus was on encouraging private sector also to play an important role. So, true mixed economy started where private sector was also playing an important role and government was also doing. So, this has continued, and every next government adopts more liberalization these days. So go through these 5-year plans from your books, read about them. What were the plans? What were the goals? To what extent these plans were able to achieve the goals that were desired? If these plans were successful, probably our poverty would have reduced. But that didn't happen because either the plans were not properly implemented or the plans were not adequate enough to look for the poverty removal and the goals. The We should also simultaneously discuss the issues of land reforms. Before independence, the land substantially land was in the hands of lord, zagirdars and landlords, thakurs, kings. So the government tried to snatch away land from all of them, and the government took initiatives that nobody should have a larger land piece. And in between, we also had initiative by a few volunteers who try to, request big landlords to donate their extra land for common people. And these initiatives were very much successful. Huge land was collected, and this land was distributed to the poor people, landless people. And this, you can say, it was a great initiative. Now, over a period of time, due to large family sizes, the size of farmland reduced, because if one farmer had 4 sons, then his total farmland was divided among 4 sons. So ultimately, the average land holding with one farmer today is very less small. So if a farmer is having only 5 acres of land or 3 acres of land or 2 acres of land, this small piece of land is not suitable for introducing mechanization on agriculture. This small land piece is not suitable for introducing tractors or other machine tools for modern agricultural systems. Therefore, the plan was that we should have bigger land holdings with farmers, but nothing could be done on these directions. The farming system is very different in different states. Punjab has been the most modern and forward state in India so far as agriculture is concerned. The farmers of Punjab adopted mechanization, tractors, modern tools of agriculture, and they have improved their yield per hectare considerably. They have, almost converted agriculture into an industry, and they are earning good money also out of agriculture. And other states are trying to now imitate Punjab, but not succeeding so much. Punjab's success is definitely worth mentioning here, and they have benefited tremendously from green revolution. Now my question is, what is green revolution? Now green revolution was popularized in the world by Norman Borlaug, and in India green revolution was popularized by Professor M.S. Swaminathan. So what are the basic points in green revolution? In green revolution, the use of high yield variety of agriculture is there. So for for wheat or for rice or for other important crops, high yield varieties are developed, and these high yield varieties generate very high production, which enable the farmers. And green revolution involves use of modern fertilizers, modern pesticides, modern technologies, which ultimately results in very high production, and ultimately it benefits the farmer. But there are many disadvantages of green revolution. The biggest disadvantage is it has ruined the traditional Indian farming system. India had a very good system of farming before Green Revolution, which was wiped out by Green Revolution. We used to have different varieties, so many varieties, which have now been eliminated because of Green Revolution. Because today farmers are using only high yield varieties. They are not using different varieties that you were grown there earlier, and those different varieties were actually very good for health. The farmers did not use fertilizers or pesticides or chemicals earlier, and of course their crop was less, but whatever was there was very good, healthy for life. But after the green revolution, excessive use of fertilizers and pesticides and other things are now resulting into cancers and other diseases, because these chemicals and these fertilizers and these pesticides are harmful for health. So today we are witnessing many disadvantages of green revolution also. Of course, advantages are also there. The farmers of Punjab have become very rich because they adopted green revolution, they adopted high yielding varieties, and they have benefited tremendously from the green revolution, right? So you can say there are both advantages and disadvantages of green revolution. Land reforms have benefited our country in terms of reduction of lands, average land size. The the farmhouses, the farmland available with the landlords, zamindars have been distributed to the common people. But there is also one minus point in India now: rise of Naxalism. Naxalism is very widespread in states like Chhattisgarh, Odisha, part of West Bengal, Tamil Nadu, part of so that wherever these are there are forests, there are Naxalites. We find Naxalites very playing very dangerous role. They have blocked the economic progress in these regions. Wherever Naxalites have grown, they have destroyed the developmental process. They oppose government initiatives for development. They speak against government. They are actually getting funding from our enemy countries. Some people are saying that these Naxalites are getting support indirectly from our neighboring countries, who are our enemies. But whatever the fact may be, but these Naxalites are definitely harming our economy considerably. They are creating hurdles in the path of development, and we are already finding it that in Naxal affected regions, large number of our security forces, large number of our people, police force people, and other people, they are killed by these Naxalites every year. These and The government should now take very firm steps against Naxalites, but because after all, they are also the people of our own country, so government has to be very careful in taking action so that innocent people do not die in the process. So these are there are many such hurdles in the path of our economy. We had very bitter relations with our neighbors, and that have also, you know, impacted our growth. The We have seen that how Pakistan has, you know, destroyed our Kashmir region, how Pakistan has destroyed our, uh, I mean, border regions of Jammu Kashmir and other places, how we are spending money in our security in Jammu Kashmir, in glacier regions and other regions. So a lot of money is now wasted away in all these processes, which should have been used in development of people. But due to the rise of terrorism and other activities, which are mostly supported by our neighboring countries, because of that, our progress is also reducing. Ideally, our country can progress, or any country can progress, when Money is devoted for education, healthcare, and infrastructure development. Obviously, if you spend money for education, if you spend money for healthcare, if you spend money for infrastructure development, what will happen? There will be progress in the country. But if you spend the money on buying weapons, if you spend the money on buying unnecessary things, if you are spending money on wars, then you cannot make progress. Your country cannot progress. So we are unfortunate that we didn't get very good neighbors, and because we didn't get neighbors, good neighbors, so we are wasting away our precious resources on buying buying weapons, and on spending in our defense of the country. And in this way, we are not able to achieve as much progress as we should have done.